There's something to spending time here in Boone in the high country that it's magical, and people want to try to find a way to either stay here or to return here, and that can be tough. And there are callings in other places, and so people go and explore other parts of the world. But a lot of people return. Enough of them that we've coined the term Boonerang.
Boone, North Carolina, a not-so-hidden gem nestled right in the middle of the Blue Ridge Mountains. People from all over the world come to enjoy the breathtaking views, awe-inspiring landscape, and to cruise through the twists and turns of the Blue Ridge Parkway. There are about 1.5 million reasons to visit Boone, North Carolina, even though the locals would tell you otherwise. But even if you hate the mountains, don't care for the views, and more understandably, detest the atrocious housing developments, one thing I can almost guarantee you don't hate is the music. Boone has a deep history of being home to and inspiring many notable musicians, the most famous of which being the legendary Doc Watson. Boonies and mountaineers alike take their music very seriously, and if you spend enough time in these hills, it's only a matter of time before you meet a talented string player with a story to tell.
It's really sensational, and it gives me a thrill to see people's faces when we start up.
Mac Arnold is a blues legend, playing with masters of the craft, Muddy Waters, B.B. King, John Lee Hooker, and pretty much every game changer to have ever struck a chord.
Blues tell you where you're going and where you've been and what to look out for, so it's a great message piece, you know?
All right, let's go to Sweet Home Chicago, y'all.
With an artist like Mac Arnold and his band Plateful of Blues opening up the festival on Saturday morning, the message is clear.
Playing blues is a true, what I would say, inspiration.
If you're looking for great music, you've come to the right place.
I really love it.
You know, that community homecoming feel, you really see that. You see people hugging out on the streets. I hear people come up to me and say, I saw all these friends who I haven't seen in years, or we're making this our annual friend get together to come return to the high country and have a weekend together. It just brings that community vibe about it.
Perhaps nothing in Boone exemplifies community like the Jones House. Overlooking bustling King Street, Dr. John Walter Jones, one of the first physicians in town, built the family home in 1908, where he, his wife Maddie Blackburn Jones, and their 2 children, John Walter Jones Jr. and Maisie Jean Jones, lived. Maisie Jones Levinson would inherit the house and sell it to the town of Boone in 1983 under one stipulation, that the house be used as a cultural and community center. In 2008, the stipulation expired. However, the town of Boone continues to honor her wishes. For 3 years straight, Boonerang has had near-perfect weather. I'd like to think somehow, some way, this is Maisie and the Jones family saying thank you.
Such a great history here, and just to even be, in the mix here, performing and be able to share my original tunes is a great honor.
I can help you disappear. Stay.
My name is Shay Martin Lovette, and I've got a storied history here with the area. I went to college here, and that was sort of my formative years, actually, of writing songs and playing music. I originally grew up in Wilkesboro, North Carolina, and that's where I started writing songs, and the home of Merle Fest, and then came up to App State and kind of continued to develop. And it's such a passion for me, and it's something I really do for myself. My songwriting is sort of almost like therapy with myself, almost.
That sticky heat of summer won't do us any.
My senior year of college here at App State, I got into the Chris Austin songwriting competition at Merle Fest, and I was like, wow, okay, well maybe other people think my music's good too. I thought it was just me. So I think more than anything, at least me personally as a performer and a songwriter, I try to make music that I like. There's so many beautiful things about Boone. I would say the culture here, the mountain culture, and the storied past of the musicians here. I would say the outdoors is a huge piece of it for me, just the scenic beauty of the mountains. And then I would just say the community, the people here that are uplifting something like Boonerang, the town of Boone, and everyone, the volunteers, everybody that's kind of getting behind this festival, and are doing so many beautiful things with the town of Boone and uplifting arts. And those would be the three things that I think really, for me, make Boone super special. But yeah, the list could be a mile long. All I need is an excuse to come back, you know, when I'm here.
Whether it's local brews, foods, reunions, or moves, if an excuse is all you need, Boonerang will serve as your most trusted alibi. And when the Nude Party is headlining, an alibi may just come in handy.
My name's Patton Magee. I play in a band called the Nude Party. There's never been like an all of a sudden. We've just been like chugging along for like 11 years. You know, I've seen like the hills like rise and rise and rise over time, which has been awesome. Like we've gotten to do some really cool stuff. Some, like, you know, last year we got to fly out to LA and be at the premiere of the Outer Banks show because they had a bunch of songs in that. You know, we get to like do a tour with like Arctic Monkeys and Jack White and play Bonner and like all this really cool stuff. Like there's these like moments that jut out, but for the most part, since we started, it's been just us like rehearsing, writing, and then just like hounding tours that started out real DIY. Like, I mean, I remember some of the first few tours, we would finish the show and then the promoter would ask us for money. And I'm like, what? Felt lucky to leave with less money. I remember that was in the early days before we were old enough to play in the bars. We'd play parties and stuff. And we set up at Hippie Hill one time and we're playing. We had like 8 songs. No, we probably had like 5 songs. And it would just be one riff that got loud and quiet and loud and quiet. We were really primitive at the time. I remember I got arrested my very first day at App State. I had been watching like Animal House and Van Wilder and stuff, and I was under the impression that you could sort of do whatever you want once you get to college. And so the very first night I didn't know anyone. I was just made like my first friend, and we were like vaping weed out the dorm window. I thought you could do that. And then the cops knocked and demanded to come in and we were like, well, we start flexing our college rights. We were like, well, you don't have the right. You got to go get a warrant. And they went and got a warrant. And then they came back and they arrested us. And so the very first day of school, as everyone's filing into the dorms, me and this kid, Avik, are just sitting like handcuffed in the hallway as everyone's first impression is just sitting there like, this sucks. I'm stoked, dude. This is not tied into any other shows. We're driving all the way down from New York just for this afternoon, because when it came through, we were all like stoked to go back to Boone and play a show on Main Street. You know, I'm hyped.
Maybe you missed it this time, and if that's the case, don't worry. Boonerang has a tendency to find its way back around again.